Everyone, after UFC 316, one of the big matchups that people are talking about right now is who is Merab Dvalishvilli going to fight next, as he's basically fought every current contender that was on a win streak or had some claim to win it, even though Sean O'Malley didn't really have much of a claim to a rematch, considering he only had one title defense and it was against Marlon Vera, so that's the only one. But former champion at least made the fight competitive, especially, and I know the fifth round specifically near the end, he won that round, and I know he won at least one other round, in my opinion. So he at least had some acclaim there. Umar had a top 5 win, even though it was his only ranked win, and he did make that fight against Merab pretty decently competitive. He won the first 2 rounds. Peter Yan he beat, O'Malley beat in the first fight, Henry Cejudo, Jose Aldo. He's beating most of these guys. So it was a question of who does he fight next, and even though I would like Pantoja to move up and really test himself against Merab, even though I do think Merab would win that fight fairly easily, it looks like he's going to be fighting Cory Sandhagen next. The UFC were kind of promoting that. They flashed the camera at Cory Sandhagen in the audience. Cory Sandhagen and Merab met backstage, and it seems like that's going to be the next fight, which some people might be saying, Cory doesn't deserve it. He's coming off one win, and it's I'm using quotation marks, injury win over Davison Figueiredo. And Davison Figueiredo was coming off a loss to Peter Yan. I feel like if anybody's saying Cory Sandhagen is coming off an injury win over Figueiredo, are also ignoring that Cory Sandhagen was dominating that fight and kind of inflicted the injury onto Davison Figueiredo. But yes, Cory Sandhagen is only coming off one win, and his most recent loss was against Umar Nurmagomedov, and it was a pretty dominant loss. So I hear that, but it's also one of those, it's either Merab moves up a weight class, he waits for Pantoja to win his fight against Kai Kara-France, which I think he's going to win, and then hope he moves up, which even then, that's an if, because that'd also mean Pantoja would have to give up his title to do that, which I think is kind of crazy right now. So, and if he wants to stay active, because I think he wants to fight one more time this year, which is still crazy because it'll be 3 title fights in 1 year, it's going to be Cory Sandhagen. I don't want to hear anybody say Umar Nurmagomedov rematch. Fuck no. I heard Dana White say that, and I think everyone collectively said fuck no to that. And I guess the real question is, does Cory Sandhagen stand a chance? No, I don't. I'll say I don't think he wins. I think it's very hard for me to imagine Cory Sandhagen winning this fight, and this is one of those fights where even everybody who's been picking against Merab in his previous fights, which there have been some reasons to pick against him. I can understand people picking O'Malley because of his range tech. He got better in the 5th round in their first fight. Obviously, it didn't end well in the second fight, but you get the idea. Peter Yan, I picked Peter Yan. I think most people picked Merab to beat Henry Cejudo. And then Umar, I think a lot of people picked Umar. I've picked Merab since he beat Peter Yan. It's kind of when I knew that Merab is just built different. And even there, I'm not changing it with Cory Sandhagen. And the MMA community seemed to also be picking Merab to beat Sandhagen. And there's a lot of reasons that you could pick Sandhagen to win, because I do think Sandhagen is a really good fighter. And I am glad that he's finally getting at least a shot at the title. I know this fight had been talked about happening way before even Merab was champion. I think when Sean O'Malley was going to defend his title against Marlon Vera, they were talking about this fight happening in the meantime, which it never did. But I'm kind of glad it's happening now. But Cory Sandhagen, very well-rounded, very good striker, very technical striker. Does have some power. I think the argument of saying he has pillow hands is a little, I don't think it's fully correct. I don't think he's the hardest hitter. I don't think he has Sean O'Malley level of, punching power, but I do think he's got a bit of thud in there. He's got the jump knee, which I do think is his best weapon he has to beat Merab Dvalishvilli, is that jump knee. He lands it basically almost every fight. He's landed against Marlon Vera. He KO'd Frankie Edgar with it. I think it was John Lineker he hit with it. Bunch of these guys he can hit with. I think he's going to try and throw it whenever Merab Dvalishvilli goes in for a takedown, which will be quite often. I think that's really his best chance of doing enough damage, because I don't know if he either has to KO Merab Dvalishvilli because I don't think he's going to submit him. I think Cory Sandhagen has gotten a lot better at grappling, but I don't think it's the kind of grappling that's going to beat Merab. I think it's the kind that makes him, not get finished by like an Umar Nurmagomedov or be able to defend takedowns from a Peter Yan. I don't think it's the kind that lets him out-grapple Merab and submit him is kind of my thing. And I don't think he's going to out-muscle Merab Dvalishvilli. I don't think Cory Sandhagen's built like that. I think his best bet is for the jump knee, the jump strikes in general, just to try and catch him off guard and just to be, honestly, more aggressive. But the issue with that is the Umar Nurmagomedov fight, because when he was defensive grappling, he was able to defend the takedowns against Umar, but he also did nothing standing, got outstruck by Umar. So I kind of see it maybe playing out similar to how the second Sean O'Malley fight went, where Sean O'Malley was doing better defending takedowns, but was getting outstruck until the third round where he got submitted. I don't necessarily think Merab's going to submit Cory Sandhagen because Merab isn't really a finisher, and I don't know if I fully want to say that the second Sean O'Malley fight is going to be a testament to this new Merab Dvalishvilli that just finishes everybody. He could. I think if he's going to beat Cory Sandhagen, it's going to be by submission. I think that's there for him, but I think it's going to be a decision. Glad Cory Sandhagen is getting a title shot. He can add that to, his resume as a fighter, but I think it's just going to be another title defense for Merab Dvalishvilli, and just going to cement Merab even further as the bantamweight GOAT and higher up on the pound-for-pound list. I'm thinking about making a pound-for-pound, like my personal top 10 pound-for-pound list. I know every MMA YouTuber does it, so I've always put it off just because I'm I don't really care that much because I feel like everybody's kind of got a different one. So I might make it, I might not, but Merab's already in that top 10. I'd have to really think about who I put in front of him is kind of my thing. But there's obviously going to be fighters I put in front of him. But if he beats Cory Sandhagen, that moves him up further. And if he moves up to featherweight, and if he beats Volkanovski, I don't care that Volkanovski's 36, 37. If he beats Volkanovski, I think he becomes the GOAT. That's just my opinion. But I'll see y'all in the next one.